Material science archetype. Ductility of a material can be defined as the ability to undergo large permanent deformations in tension. Malleability of a material can be defined as the ability to under large permanent deformations in compression. In compression, a prism of a brittle material will break by shearing along oblique plane. The ability of material to resist softening at high temperature is known as hot hardness. Mild steel belongs to the following category: low carbon steel. The ultimate tensile strength of a low carbon steel working at a high strain rate is increases. Slow plastic deformations of metals under constant stress is known as creep. Ultimate tensile strength and high yield strength of most of the metals when temperature falls from 0 to 150 degrees will be increases. The number of electrons 1 centimeter square metal would be of the order of 10 power of 22. Stress relaxation is the phenomenon in which deformation tends to loosen the joint and produce and stress reduction. The elastic stress strain behavior rubber is dash non-linear. Isotropic materials are those which have the same elastic properties in all directions. Recrystallization temperature is one at which new spherical crystal first begins to form from the old deformed one which strained metal is heated. Points are arrest for iron correspond to dash stages at which allotropic forms change. Delta iron occurs at a temperature of between 1400 degrees centigrade to and 1539 degrees centigrade. A material is known as a allotropic or polymorphic if it is there exists in several crystal forms at different temperatures. Superconduction by a metals is observed in the temperature range is below 10 degrees centigrade, below 10 degrees Kelvin. Which of the following constitution of a steels of softest and least strong? This is the ferrite. Which of the following represent the allotropic forms of iron? Alpha iron, gamma iron, and delta iron. The following types of materials are usually the most ductile: face-centered cubic lattice. Pure iron is the structure of ferrite. The temperature at which ferromagnetic alpha iron transforms the paramagnetic alpha iron is 770 degrees centigrade. Gamma iron exists at the following temperature between 910 degrees centigrade and 1400 degrees centigrade. Ferromagnetic alpha iron exists temperature range below 723 degrees centigrade. Paramagnetic alpha iron changes in the gamma iron at 910 degrees centigrade. A reversible change in change the atomic structure of a steel with corresponding change in the properties is known as allotropic change. The molecules in a solid moves the back and forth to like teeny pendulums. The crystal structure is the gamma iron is as face-centered cubic. The crystal of alpha iron is the body-centered cubic. The metallic structure of a mild steel is body-centered cubic. For the allotropic forms of iron and the points of the arrest are the points of discontinuity. The percentage of carbon in a pig iron varies from 4 to 4.5 degrees centigrade. 4 to 4.5 percentage. The percentage of carbon in gray iron casting usually varies between 2.5 to 4.5. Pig iron is the name given a product of blast furnace between the reduction iron ore. The unique property of a cast iron is its height, damping characteristic. Cast iron is characterized by a minimum following percentage of carbon 2%. In a grey cast iron, carbon is present in the form of flakes. In a nodular iron, graphite is in the form of spheroids. In a malleable iron, carbon it presents in the form of nodular aggregates of graphite. Wrought iron is highly resistant to corrosion. Sulfur in a pig iron tends to make it malleable. Pick up wrong statement about wrought iron. This is that it melts at 1535 degrees centigrade. Iron is ferromagnetic. A reversible change in the atomic structure of the steel with corresponding change in the properties is known as heat treatment. A chilled cast iron has no graphite. Cast iron has high ductility. White cast iron contains carbon in the form of graphite. In molten cast iron, carbon is available in free form. An important property of high silicon 12 to 18% cast iron is the hardness. An important property of malleable cast iron is the comparison to grey cast iron is the high ductility. Steel contains 50% more iron. Carbon steel is an alloy of iron and carbon with varying quantity of phosphorus and sulfur. Handling of white cast iron results of production is the malleable iron. Kiln steels are those steels which are deoxidized in the ladle with silicon and aluminum. Hardness of steel depends upon the shape and distribution of the carbates in the iron. Maximum percentage of carbon in ferrite is 0.025 percentage. Maximum percentage of carbon austenate is 1.7 percentage. Corrosion resistance of a steel is increased by addition of chromium and nickel. In which of the following cases consideration of a creep is important in gas turbine blades? The most effective inhibit of grain growth when added in a small quantities is vanadium. Depth of hardness of steel is increased by addition of chromium. Railway rails are normally made up of high carbon. Pick up the wrong statement. Aluminium in the steel results excessive grain growth. Pick up the wrong statement. Improving the machining properties. Machining the properties of steel are improved by adding sulfur, lead, phosphorus. Attenuated steel containing following the percentage of carbon is 0.8 percentage. The basic constitutions of a hastily alloy is the nickel, molybdenum, etc. Basic constitution of a monal metals are nickel, copper. German silver is an alloy of nickel, copper, and zinc. Surveying tapes are made up of material having the coefficient of expansion enough strength to the alloy used inward. A cold chisel is made up of high carbon. An engineer's hammer is made up of high carbon steel. In corner is an alloy of nickel, chromium, and iron. By severally deforming of a metal, in a particular direction, it becomes anisotropic. Solder is an alloy consisting of lead and zinc. Cyaniding is the process of reacting steel surface with cyanide salts. Induction hardening is the process of hardening surface of workpiece to obtain hard, wear resistant surface. The loss of strength in a compression with simultaneous gain in the strength in the tension due to overloading is known as Boyce-Shearing effect. The process of first tempering is just in the formation of a banished structure. The surface hardness of the following the order is achieved by nitriding operation with 100 degrees to 1100 degrees VPN. 1000 degrees to 1100 VPN. Hardness of martensite is about RC65. A welded decay is the phenomenon found with the stainless steel. Material after cold working are the subjected to following process to relieve stresses is the annealing. Hardness of upper cyclic structure is about RC48. Carbon in iron is an example of interstitial solid solution. Brass alloy copper zinc is an example of substitutional solid solution. Which are false statements about annealing and annealing is done to the hardness steel slightly. Argenatite is the principal overall raw materials of silver. Hardness of lower bayonet temperature is about is the RC57. Sphalerite is the principal or raw material is zinc. Which are false statement about normalizing it done to dash induced stress. Vanadium is high speed steel is the forms very hot carbates and thus increases their resistance. Amorphous material is one in which there is no definite atomic structure and atoms exist in random pattern just as the liquid. Dislocations is a material refers to the following type of defects is the line defect. Is an example of amorphous material is the glass. Which false statements about tampering is done improving machinability. Which false statements about case hardening is the case hardening is done by electroplating. Which of the following is the binding material is the cemented carbides is the cobalt. Chromium is a steel, improve wear resistance, cutting ability, toughness. Manganese in a steel increases the tensile strength. Cemented carbide tool are not found be suitable for cutting is the steel. Sulfur in a steel lower the toughness and transfer ductility. Tungsten in a steel refine grain size and produces less tendency to carburization, improves corrosion and the heat resistance properties. Tungsten in a high speed of steel provides hotness. Which of the following is not the correct method of increasing fatigue limit? Surface distributions. Connecting rod is usually made up of medium carbon steel. Which of the following pipes in the least corrosive resistance is the wrought iron? Tensile strength of a steel can be safely increased by adding carbon up to 0.83%. High carbon steel carries carbon percentage of 0.8 to 1.5%. Cobalt in a steel improves cutting ability and reduces hardenability. The percentage of carbon in low carbon steel is 0.15%. The hardness of steel increases of its contains the martensite. Grey cast iron contains 1.7 to 3.5 carbon in a free state and obtained by the slow cooling of a molten cast iron. Nodular iron has all of this above. Nickel in a steel gives ductility, toughness, tensile strength, and anti-corrosion properties. Which of the following elements does not impact the hardness to steel is the copper. The presence of sulfur in a pig iron makes the casting unsound. A melting point of a iron is 1539 degrees centigrade. Compressive strength of a grey cast iron is a tons per centimeter square is of the order of 5 to 7. Blast furnace produces the following by reduction of a iron ore is the pig iron. A couple of produces following of material cast iron. The missionability of a steel increased by phosphorus, lead, and sulfur. The following elements of a can't import high strength at elevated temperature is the manganese. Which of the following is the element results in a presence of free graphite in IC silicon? White cast iron is dash. Is also known as chilled cast iron and is obtained by cooling rapidly. It is almost unmissionable. A cold rolled steel sheets contains carbon of the following order 0.1%. Pipes for bicycles frames are made up of cold rolled steels. Large forgings crankshafts axis normal contains carbon up to 0.45 to 0.55. Heavy ductile leaf coil springs contains carbon of the following order 1.0. Taps dies and the drills contains carbon above 1%. Draw forging dies containing carbon of the order of 0.6 to 0.7. Which of the false statements is about wrought iron has uniform strength in all directions? The tensile strength of a wrought iron is maximum along the lines of the slag distribution. Balls for a ball bearing are made up of carbon chrome steels. Malleable cast iron is produced by annealing process. It is a soft, tough, and easily machinable metal. Preheating is essential in welding a cast iron. The hardness of steel primarily depends on the shape of carbides and their distribution of iron. Steel made from a phosphoric iron is brittle. Ductility is iron is produced by a small addition of magnesium. The graphite model is spread from and weld is spread throughout the material. Brass contains 70% copper and 30% zinc. The crystal structure of a brass is FCC. The composition of silver is silver, copper, zinc. Which one of the following metals would work harder more quickly than the others? Brass. A specimen of aluminum metal when the observed under microscope the FCC crystal structure. The usually composition of soldering Li is tin lead small percentage of antimony. Admittedly, brass used for steam condenser the contains copper and zinc is the following ratio 30 to 70. Corrosion resistance of a steel increased by adding chromium and nickel. Chromium contains more than 95% Al2O3. Aniconi and LiFO are used extensively for permanent manganate contains iron, nickel, aluminium, and cobalt in the following ratio 50 is 50 is to 20 is to 20 is to 10. 50 20 20 10. If a refractory contains high containing silicon, it means a refractory is natural. A bell metal contains 70 to 70% copper and rust tin. Which of the following is used for bearing in linearly? Babbitt metal. The correct sequence for decreasing descending order of machinability is grey cast iron, low carbon steel, and wrought iron. Structural steel contains following the principal allying elements: nickel, chromium, and manganese. Aluminium bronze contains aluminum and copper. The ratio of aluminum copper is 10 to 90. Bronze contains 90% copper and 10% tin. Having contains permeabilities in Li of nickel, copper, and iron. The Li used for making electrical resistance and heating element is nichrome. Monal metal is contains 63% to 67% nickel and 30% copper. Permeable Li is the nickel and iron Li having the high permeability. Phosphorus bronze contains none of this above. Free cutting. Free cutting steels is the or used various case machining is the criterion. Delta metal is an Li of copper, zinc, and iron. Admiralty gunmetal contains 88% copper, 10% tin, and rust zinc. Which of following Li does not contain tin? White metal. Which is false statement about properties of aluminum is the wear resistance is very good. Addition of copper to aluminum results to improve one of the best known age of participant holding system. Addition of manganese to aluminum results improvement of corrosion resistance. Eleanor Ella used precision of instrument hair spring for watches accessory containing following element. Principal allying element is nickel. Which of the following alloy does not have copper is one of the constitutions is nichrome. Addition of lead and bismuth aluminum results in dash improvement machinability. Addition of silicon to aluminum results to improvement of casting characteristics. Constants and alloy used in a thermocouples is an alloy of copper and nickel. White metal contains alloy of tin, lead and cadmium. YLI contains 92%, 92.5% aluminum and 40% copper, 2% nickel and 1.5% Mg. German silver contains 5% silver. Which of the following has highest specific strength of all structural material is the titanium Li. Dow metal is contains 90% magnesium and 10% aluminum with some copper. Foundry crucible is made up of graphite. Age hardening is related with duralumin. Aluminum bronze contains 10% aluminum and 90% copper. Babbitt metal is in A and C. A is the lead base Li and C is the copper base Li. The correct composition of Babbitt metal is 87.75 SN, 4% Cu, 8% Sb, 0.2% Be. Duralumin contains 94% of aluminum, 4% copper and 0.5% Mn, Mg and Fe. Natural solution is one which has pH value is equal to 7. Acidic solution is one which has pH value is less than 7. Which is the correct curve shown in the figure to the relationship between the conductivity and Li of the copper and nickel varies percentage as the D. Basic solution is one which has pH value greater than 7. Following elements have the space centered cubic structure is gamma iron 910 degrees to 1400 degrees Cu, Ag, Au, Alni, Pb, Recrystallisation temperature can be lowered by all of the above. Perlite is combination of ferrite and cementate. Arsenate is a combination of cementate and gamma iron. The transistor is made up of germanium. A lead is poured into the joint between two pipes. These pipes may be made up of cast iron. Which of the following elements is added steel impart high strength and toughness is the manganese. Free carbon in iron makes it soft and imparts coarse grain crystallization structure. This is the combined corrosion is iron makes it hard and imparts fine grain crystallization structure. Which of the following has the better capability to bear sudden the excessive shocks is the wrought iron. Among the following materials, the most suitable material for withstanding shock and vibration without danger of cracking is malleable iron. Hardenability of a steel, it is the property of which determines the depth of the hardening zone induced by the quenching. Following element have the body centered cubic structure is the alpha iron below 90 degrees and between 49 degrees to 1530 degrees. WBMOCRNA A silicon steel used to electrical equipments contains following percentage of silicon 3.5%. Following elements have the hexagonal closed box structure is the Mg, Z and Ta, ZR, B, C, D. The four major parts of blast furnace from the top of to bottom in order is this is the top stack Bosch heart. The purpose of iron ore in the charge for blast furnace is to act as aggregate of iron bearing mineral. The product of cupola is called as cast iron. The purpose of scarp steel in the charge of blast furnace is that to control the grade of cast iron produced. For the same capacity of production is the acid converter is smaller than basic converter. The form basic slag the following is added lime. Sub-zero treatment of the steel is used to reduce the retained energy the hardened steel. Thank you.